Hey, what's up, people? We're
Hi,
back.
everyone.
Welcome to the Zydandrea podcast, where we have a couple of guests coming on to talk about a nice little topic that we put together. But first, how was your week?
My week?
Yeah.
My week was, again, fantastic, nonstop,
Yep.
still on the high from our vacation.
Yeah. So we also, just to make sure, in case you haven't checked, there was a lost video that was stuck in Drea's phone about our Grand Canyon experience. So make sure you go online, check that out. It's over on Zydandrea over on YouTube, and you know where to find it. All the at Zydandrea, so you'll be able to check that video out. But right now, let's talk about what we're going to be discussing.
Yeah, so we are going to have two guests today, and it's Jaclyn and Sarah, and they are from AZBlue2020.
Yep. And we're going to discuss about how you keep the movement going on, because obviously after the election, people got fired up. They wanted to go all crazy. There were all kinds of protests. There were all kinds of rallies. I mean, there were a lot of things that were going on. Boom, and obviously people were getting amped up. But then, as soon as somebody starts getting amped up, they start just settling back into their apathetic ways, and, they don't know what to do any longer, and they just settle back into what was before. So they're not really fired up. So we're going to discuss how you keep that movement going. How do you keep it going strong? So without further ado, I think we should get into introducing our guests.
I think so. These are some powerful women, and we're going to have a great conversation. We're excited for you to meet them.
All right. So we would like to welcome to the Zydandrea podcast, Jaclyn Boys.
Hello.
It's boys, right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure, that's a crazy name. Boys. Yeah, boys in the house. So Jaclyn Boys, and of course, Sarah Meaney. I mean, we got the mean boys here.
Yeah.
Hey, we make a good team.
Yeah, make a good team from AZBlue2020. Welcome to the Zydandrea podcast.
Well, thank you.
All
We're
right,
so glad
all
to be
right.
here. Thank you for having us.
No, we love having you guys. So you want to start it off? These are your ladies right here.
And I'm so proud that you're my ladies.
I don't have any Facebook requests from, I'm just saying.
She's the real reason why we're here.
I know.
Well, again, so glad you guys could be part of our show. So wanted to talk and share with everybody like what it is that, first, why you're here, why you even showed up today, not just because of the tacos that I'll be making later on.
Yeah, you did promise us tacos.
I did.
You get
And
tacos.
See,
yes.
When you're a guest, you get tacos. But to also want to share with everybody really about what got you passionate about what it is that you're doing. So, Sarah, let me start with you.
Wow, just put me on the spot just
All
like
right.
that. I was hoping to pick her
That's it.
first, I don't know, after the election, it was a little surprising. And I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen, but I saw all these people getting together at the Women's March, so we attended that. And just realized how many people wanted to do something, weren't quite sure what to do. And I attended some meetings with some different groups, Indivisible and things like that, and no one really seemed organized. And then I ran into the AZBlue2020 group, and they actually had a singular focus. And they kind of had a plan as to what they were going to do. So I jumped on board with that, and they had all these projects going. So it kind of happened organically that I just found a place in there, and we're doing a lot of outreach, and I've become really good at talking to people all across the state. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, that's good. And what I want to know is, Jaclyn, what do you see as AZBlue2020 doing that benefits you? Not just as a community as a whole, but what do you get out of it?
I think a lot of times you can feel isolated when it comes to seeing the news, and it seems like every week there's something different, and it makes you feel like, okay, am I the only one who's taking offense to all of this? And then you get to go among a tribe of people who are saying, not only are we going to do this together, but that we actually have a plan to get there. What Sarah was saying about AZBlue2020, having strategy, having a plan. That's why among all of the groups, I latched onto that one.
Okay, good. And what about you?
Yeah, same thing. Like I said, a lot of people were just disorganized and trying to figure out what to do still. But yeah, we have a singular focus, and we have one mission, and everybody's on the same track. And we work together, and the thing is, we have great leadership in this group. And the thing about the leadership is it works because we're given autonomy. So we all know what our mission is. We all know where we want to get, and we want to engage people. And, the people who organize this group are just kind of like, go with it. If you find a project and it's working, just keep going. And I mean, we've had a lot of momentum and we've been able to engage a lot of people. So it's really been great.
This question's for both of you ladies. What surprised you so far in working with the communities, working with the public in your projects? What is the one thing that has surprised you?
Well, I have a couple. I have a positive and a negative. So the positive is there are a lot of people that have all this energy and they want to get involved and they want to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good opportunity. You know, our group is a good opportunity for them to get involved with their communities. But on the other side, as we do start to talk to people and try to engage them, we realize there are so many people who still aren't paying attention to what's happening, especially in local politics. Everybody gets caught up in the national news
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, what's going on with the president and his administration and all of these things. But our state politics is really what hits us, you know, more directly. And if we pay attention to that, that's what's going to matter. And we need those people to be engaged. Some of them aren't even registered to vote.
Yeah.
So those are the people that we really need to get on board.
Do you know, I think what's unique about this state is that you have access to politics. There's other states out there like New York where, you know, you really have to know people or you have to have a certain amount of wealth to even gain access to people. But out here, anybody can jump in and take action. I think that's something that's really great about this state. One thing that surprised me, just to say real talk, is I think there's a lot of people who would consider themselves progressive Democrats, yet in casual conversation with them, they'll say things that might not be racially sensitive or, you know, accidentally put down different groups. So I think that we have to all rally around the same values and just really be the party that I know that Democrats can be.
You know what? I mean, that's been something that's been brought up a lot. I mean, we've seen it where all of a sudden, see, here's what I think about it. Because, you know, speaking on the topic, you know, how do you keep the momentum going? And then a lot of people falling back to their old ways, being apathetic and just sitting back and letting everybody else do the heavy lifting for them. One thing that we did notice is that people who do consider themselves progressive Democrats, you know, it's like, no, we're for the, you know, party of the people and the power of the people and all this other stuff, and they're sitting there fighting for the rights, but they're the ones that first they're the most apathetic, but second, when it comes to the marginalized, they have no clue. And they will say something racially insensitive. They will wind up. We noticed before with the LGBT community that there's a lot of divide in the intersectionality between them.
Yeah,
where
we're at Pride.
where
Yeah.
there is a lot of racism in between that, where you will get a lot of gay white males who, oh, you know, we're gay, so we're being discriminated against. So, you know, Trump sucks, and then, you know, let a black guy say, hey, I'm gay too. And, you know, what about our rights? Was like, well, what about your rights? You know, what about all of our rights? All lives matter, you know, and it comes down to that. I mean, where do you see that AZBlue2020 has a problem with that? And if so, how do you guys figure that you will be able to bring people together?
I'm really glad you asked that question because this is something we've been working on and it's kind of a pet project of mine. My friend Jess, her and I have both been talking a lot about voter outreach and voter registration, and we are trying to partner with groups that is their project. So one of the things that I've been trying to do is reach out. I mean, everybody always says community outreach, and I don't really like to say it because I don't want to feel like I'm outreaching to my own community. But it's true when you look at numbers. I mean, voter registration and voter turnout is a big deal. And if people aren't paying attention and they don't know how issues personally affect them, why would they want to get involved? You know, but once you bring it down to, hey, you know, it's affecting your kids' public education and you let them understand how things are going to affect them. I mean, those are the things that we want to do. We want to engage the Latino community. We want to make sure that they're paying attention because, I mean, there's so many people in the state that are voting age that are not voting. And imagine if we pull in all of those numbers. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people can change elections in this state, can change the political landscape of this state. And all we need to do is just pull those people in. And it's not just Latino community, you know, it's Black community. It's like I was telling you earlier, we had a little side conversation about us doing outreach. And I think you remember we were at Juneteenth together. There were so many people who were felons completely disenfranchised,
Yep.
lost their voting
Yep.
rights. And that's something else that we need to address too. Because when these people come out, you want them to have commitment to their community and you want them to re-engage into society. And that's one thing that we can bring them back and make them productive members is giving them a voice, allowing them to vote. It's a basic right.
So obviously racism is systemic, especially in this country. And it's funny, we were at the Juneteenth too also, we were just hanging out and just having a good old time. But we didn't realize how many felons were there until you just said something. And with that said, do you think that there's going to be a push in order to overturn that? Because obviously being systemic, that means there are things in place to keep a certain people down. They know the power of the minority, because at some point we're not going to be the minority. So if you keep locking them up, taking the votes away, making sure that voter suppression is out there, you keep a community down. Is there anything that you think that you can see in the future that we can stop that or put a halt to it?
Well, I'll just jump in real quick and say that I think it's important that we watch our language, right? Like, these are not people who are felons. These are people with a felony background. So, using words like felons or, any sort of label about a person, I think starts to perpetuate that type of thing. So we need to take it back and realize, first of all, that these are people. And, speaking of the Juneteenth, and to go back to progressive Democrats, when I was standing at the booth, I had a progressive Democrat come up to me and say, hey, I think this would be a great place to get signatures for the weed referendum. And I looked at him because, sometimes you just get tired of correcting people's accidental racism. So I just kind of looked at him and smiled. But it goes back to the thing where we have to watch the words that we're using in terms of what we call people, in terms of what we say. And that starts with just a change within yourself.
Right. Language is powerful.
Language is powerful. But what we're going to wind up doing here, because obviously we're enjoying the conversation we're having with Sarah and Jaclyn on all kinds of referendums and all kinds of craziness.
We're just barely tapping into this.
We're barely tapping into this. AZBlue2020, where can you guys be found on the web?
AZBlue2020.org. That is our website. We also have a YouTube channel now. And you can also find us on Facebook. Okay,
perfect. So we're going to make sure we put that up and make sure you continue with us because we'll be right back.
So much more to talk about.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Zod.
And I'm Drea.
And we want you to check out the Zod and Drea podcast every Tuesday.
Where can everybody find us at?
You can always check us out on www.zodanddrea.com.
Where else?
You can always check us out also on Facebook at Zod and Drea.
Instagram?
Zod and Drea.
Snapchat?
Zod and Drea.
YouTube?
Zod and Drea.
I see a pattern.
So if you haven't caught that, catch us at Zod and Drea on all the social networks. But also, make sure you subscribe to the Zod and Drea podcast. Where?
At zodanddrea.com.
And also on YouTube and iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. We're coming for you.
Let us know what you think. And if you want to be a guest, reach out to us.
And put all of your input into whatever our topics are for the week. So we hope to check you out and see you there.
Bye.
And welcome back.
We got so much to talk about, so let's continue.
Let's continue here with Jaclyn Boys and Sarah Meaney, of AZ2020. So let's continue on with this discussion. We want to know now, in your personal opinions, how do we keep this movement going? How do we keep the momentum going and people to stay fired up? Because the midterm elections are next. So we're talking like a year and a half. So if people are already exhausted
quickly
now,
approaching, yes.
they got like another 18 months or so. So how do we keep them fired up?
What do you think?
I think the strategy behind AZBlue2020 is that we are trying to recruit and train precinct committeemen, or PCs, and there's allowed to be in the party one PC per 125 registered Dems. So if you are engaging at the block level with people, I don't have to keep everybody fired up, I only have to keep the people who live around my block. And so really taking it to true grassroots, I think is how AZ Blue 2020 is going to help things continue forward.
I completely agree. I always say the most important thing is personal contact. If you're knocking on somebody's door and starting a conversation with them about something, they know who you are. They know what your face looks like. You know, they're going to see you around their neighborhood. And that's what keeps people engaged. And it gives an accountability that wouldn't be there if you sent a letter or if they're just getting, election mail. They're not going to want to vote. Like I said, you need to keep people engaged. We have a lot of events, too, that we've been doing. So it's not just Metro Phoenix. One of the things that AZBlue 2020 has been working on is dealing with underserved communities as far as election season goes. So rural counties that normally don't get a whole lot of candidates visiting or people going down there and engaging their population. That's what we've been doing. We've been all over the state. Navajo County. We've been to Kingman. We were in Mojave County recently talking to Dems there. Santa Cruz County.
I was about to ask you
Right.
how far you guys go. So you
Everywhere.
guys hit the entire
Statewide.
state.
Yeah, it's like 3.5 hours to Kingman. I took that on a weekday night and came home the same day. That's how committed we are to this thing.
Wow.
Yeah, TJ was supposed to be here with me. I'm glad I have Jaclyn, though. She's
Thank
a
you.
good wing woman. But TJ is out in Casa Grande right now doing a presentation out there for
Wow.
AZBlue 2020. And I mean, it's been great. We've gotten a lot of really positive feedback. We have some materials we're providing to people. We have a PC survival guide we've been taking around. So one of the things Jaclyn was talking about precinct committee people was it takes a long time to get training just because you have to get approved and all of this stuff. And then, you have to have your executive board set up the training for you, or Maricopa County Dems will set up a training for you. So in the meantime, what do? Like you said, keep people engaged. You get bored. You're like, oh, I filled out this application. Now what? Well, we have this guide. You can refer to that. It teaches you how to get started. If you want to write a letter, like she was talking about, engaging your neighborhood, it talks about all of that. So it's a really good reference guide to get these people started while they're waiting, for that formal training. But we're also starting some other things. We got some videos and some other, formal training that we're setting up with some of the legislative districts. So we're really excited about that.
So how old is your organization?
6 months old.
6 months.
So it did. So if you
wow.
notice, a lot of organizations started pretty much right after that day, November, whatever it was, 8th or whatever. Like on the 9th, all of a sudden organizations were just starting and going crazy. Some of them have died off. Some of them have lasted.
We're still going strong.
And you're still going strong. So do you find yourself also being able to team up with other organizations to complete your tasks? Or do you just strictly go solo?
No, like we were talking about the voter outreach. So we're going to be partnering with some other groups. I don't want to say right now because we don't have anything, for sure, like confirmed.
Formalized, right?
But we're always looking to partner with groups. And we're not an issue-based organization, but we do support, like Save Our Schools Arizona. I've been really involved with them and AZBlue 2020. A lot of our members are distributing those petitions. Every event that we're out, we have those petitions at our table getting people to sign. So we're trying to all move in the same direction. We want to work with all of these groups. We don't want to duplicate any efforts, and we don't want to compete with anybody. I mean, we all basically have the same goal, right? And that's what it's going to take is all of us working together. To win elections.
And we don't sit outside of the party. We actually do this work with the party, both at the county and at the state. So it is not AZ Blue or the county Dems. We're all in this as one big team.
That helps tremendously then to know that you've got all that support and you're not having to reinvent the wheel
No,
Correct.
right. Yeah.
constantly. My question is, do you find that you have to maybe, or is there any type of change in when it comes to like getting involved and getting some of the word out then to the rural communities and getting them active versus, let's say, the urban population or the more populated in downtown Phoenix? Is there a different strategy, or do you find it's all pretty much the same when it comes to activating people and getting them moving and getting them involved?
No, yeah, that's a great question. It is completely different strategy, and that's why we have printed materials. Another thing that we're working on is webinars. We're going to be hosting a webinar on the 8th at 7 p.m. And we're going to be doing that monthly. So there's going to be one this month, next month. So people who maybe can't get to a training in a rural community, if they have internet access, they can log on and they can join the webinar and they'll get some information about becoming a PC. And Jody is another member of our outreach team. I love Jody. She does great presentations. She's super personable. She's the nicest lady. She's going to travel with me around to some legislative districts, and we're going to do in-person training, and we're going to have supplementary videos and stuff like that. So there's different ways that we engage each community depending on what we see their needs are. And that's one of the things that we try to pay attention to is what people are asking for, and we want to provide the tools for them to make it easier for them to get involved. Because if things are really difficult, people tend to drop off. So if we can say, here's this, do this, do that, and this is something for you to use while you're waiting for whatever to happen, it's going to keep people engaged, and it's going to keep them moving forward, and it's going to keep them energized.
And we use good strategy in knowing that in rural areas, there's just not as many Dems. So if we've got to put the focus anywhere, we need to rock the boat where the Dems are. We need to get them out. And so I think that's one thing that's really good in this team is that they're using strategy to make sure that the resources that we have are going to have the greatest impact.
Right. One of the things that I'm really excited about is on the 5th. So we're talking about getting people energized. We've actually been doing road shows. So we've been carpooling with candidates and taking a carload of candidates all to these counties. So Navajo County, we took Deidre Aboud, January Contreras. We had some people from Kathy Hoffman's campaign. This time around, we're going to be going to Payson. And in Payson, we're taking David Garcia. January Contreras is going to come with us again. So we have a lot of candidates that we're piling up and we're taking out to these places to get those Dem groups energized and get those people involved and make sure that they're voting and they're excited for the candidates that are coming up in 2018.
And how difficult is it to drive to the nice, cool area of the state?
It's terrible.
It's
terrible.
such a terrible thing to ask.
Right. Who wants to go to Payson in the middle of the summer?
No.
I would just stay up there and camp out.
That's what we did.
Just take
we
a
went
tent.
up to we went up to Coconino County one weekend, and TJ and I were just like, well, we're in Flagstaff.
Like,
let's just we stayed
right?
and camped. Yeah.
While in Rome.
Yeah, right. Went to a meeting and then stayed and then ran. It was great.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. You get a little mini vacation.
Yeah.
Right. Go visit Bedrock.
And do you find go to Bedrock. Do you find it easier to deal with people on an individual basis, or do you find that a group setting is better to get the word out? Because sometimes it's an each one teach one thing, or maybe you get a group, but maybe that's a group of slackers. I mean, you don't know. So what do you think is more
I
effective?
hope we don't get a group of slackers.
But what do you think is more effective?
Well, I know one thing is that these guides do cost money, and so there's a little bit of fundraising that has to happen. And so if you're interested, you can give at AZBlue2020.org. But when I'm engaging with people, especially if I'm going to be asking them to contribute to the plan, for me, it's typically better one-on-one. People can sometimes sit in a big hall in a big group, and you can walk away not changed. But if you sit down, especially with somebody like Sarah, you're not going to leave that talk the same person. And so I think that, really why the PC strategy works is because it truly is a one-on-one. Let's sit down on your couch and have tacos.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Something that I've noticed is people are a little nervous about talking. So when you do become a precinct committee person, everybody's always nervous to go knock on doors. And we created a blog, and a lot of our members that have recently become PCs have written a little blog about their personal experience, being nervous and going out.
Okay.
Yeah, Jody did one. Some of our other members have done one. That they're pretty good to check out. But as I've done it, I've gotten so much more comfortable talking to people, and it's really fun. It's really fun, and it's really rewarding to get people interested and then make them realize like, oh, wow, like I should be paying attention to this, that this is local politics are really important and they do affect your lives. So you should be paying attention. But, people that maybe thought they were the only Dems or the only progressive person in their area, once they find out that there's somebody else out there, they just want to be there. One of the guys I ran into, we went to a moveon.org event for AZBlue2020, and we're just kind of talking to people out there. And we're in downtown Phoenix. I ran into a guy from my legislative district, and I'm out in Gilbert. And he just happened to be in downtown Phoenix for this event. And I started talking to him. He came to our social. He's going to go to the meeting. So here I just randomly ran into this guy.
Sometimes
and now
it
he's
works
part
like
of our
that.
group, right? So, and he was so glad to find us. So he said he was really glad that I invited him down.
It's that familiarity, I guess. You know, it's like, hey, we have something in common, so let me
Yeah,
check
we're
her
building
out.
a tribe.
You know? Okay, yeah,
It's
you're
like, I'm not
building
the
up,
only
right?
one.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
You just show him the secret handshake.
Yeah.
You'll
Gotta
have
get the
to show
knock
us
to get in the
later.
door. We did have our last social at the speakeasy, yeah. So we had to have a secret knock.
Oh, see? That's why you want to get involved. You get to go to
You
a
know?
speakeasy.
Yeah, prohibition. But I want to know also, between males and females, do you find that you're going to wind up having a more difficult time discussing things between sexes?
Have you noticed?
I haven't had that be my experience, but I'm a little candid with everybody, so that might just be me. I'm not sure. Have you had that?
Like, do you ever notice that? Like, maybe some guys gravitate towards you, you know, as opposed to, or maybe the women gravitate towards the guys, or even vice versa out of
You know what?
familiarity?
Yeah, I've noticed it a little bit, but to tell you the truth, it hasn't really been that big of a difference, I don't think. No, I think mostly it's just people not knowing what's going on and wanting to get involved, you know, and are interested in getting involved. Basically, people just want somebody to talk to, I think. Seriously, I think that's what it is. Somebody to listen to what their concerns are is basically what I've noticed, regardless of whether they're male or female.
And being 6 or 7 months after the inauguration, do you find that people are even more concerned? And I'm not talking about just Democrats. Obviously they are. But I'm talking about people who thought that Trump would be a good choice. Do you find people who are doing converting, in which, you know, an attempt is to turn the state not just purple but blue? But do you find that some of the old, I voted for Trump, now I regret for that crap, that they actually come to you guys and have discussions? Have you had any of those talks with people?
Well, when I was at the Jeff Flake town hall, it was very interesting because there was quite a number of people who went up to the mic from the other party and shared. And so I think that when it comes to things as basic as health care for yourself and for your family, we aren't even talking party line anymore. We're talking human. So I think because the climate is as cray as it is, that it is really bringing people into alignment around being human. Now, do I think that's going to necessarily switch a Republican to a Dem? No, but I do think we may see some swings with the independent voters.
Yeah. One of the things that I've really noticed is people gathering around commonalities. So these issues, like she's talking about healthcare and Save Our Schools with the public education, these are nonpartisan issues. These are things that affect everybody, no matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. These are things that we all need to get behind because it doesn't matter what your party is, you're still going to be affected by it.
Yep. Well, like the president right now. I mean, let's not talk to the trans community right now.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
That's a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
That's a biggie.
And we only have a minute left, but yeah, that's
So
a
much.
biggie.
Like in this whole show, are you kidding?
Yep.
Are we
you believe
done?
it?
No.
We're almost done.
Can I do a
So
quick
we got
plug?
a minute left. So we're going to leave it up to you, ladies. What would you like to say then? How can people follow you?
Yes.
How can people get involved? Please plug
Yeah, AZBlue2020.org. Check out our YouTube. Check out our Facebook page. Also, AZ Resist has a huge statewide protest coming up on 8/14.
Okay.
So go to azresist.org and check out their calendar and their statewide events all posted on there all the time.
And if someone's got a big wad of cash and they want to give it to you, how do they do that?
AZBlue2020.org. There's a button right there that says chip in.
Become a sustaining member.
Oh, it's that easy.
Yes,
That
become a
easy.
sustaining member.
Can we get a cool blue T-shirt like that?
Absolutely. You can get a button too.
All right. See, if it's not worth the button and the T-shirt, you better donate
I
right
don't know
now.
what's wrong with you then.
But we'd like to thank Jaclyn Boys and Sarah Meaney of AZBlue2020 for joining us. Obviously, ladies, we'd love to have you back, and especially on a follow-up maybe in a few months to see where you guys
I want
are
to know
going
what's on the menu next.
All right, people, and there you have it.
So sad it's over. We
It's
have so
over
much
already.
more to talk
Don't
about.
we have great guests?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, don't we?
Right.
So obviously, you'll be able to find us at Zadandrea on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. What am I missing? Twitter.
YouTube.
Well, of course, you can always check out our podcast on YouTube. Make sure you download them also on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And any social network that you can find, just do the @ Zod Andrea, and also www.zodandrea.com. You can find us, you can find Sarah Meaney, you can find Jaclyn Boys, you can find everybody there that we've had a discussion with.
And the same ask that we always do for every show, tell us your thoughts. Tell us what you thought about this conversation. Did it get something wild up in you? Did you want to support? Do you not want to support? Let us know.
Yeah, are you fired up again? Because we don't want to do this again, all right?
Get moving.
Get moving, be fired up, stay fired up.
Bye.
Peace.